Welcome to the Tribe of Hackers podcast. I'm your host, Ray Redacted. The Tribe of Hackers refers to a series of books compiled and authored by Marcus Carey and Jennifer Jen, available as both hard copy and electronic. Now, the term refers to the books, yes, but it also refers to a movement, and that movement is of information security professionals to end gatekeeping, to increase diversity and inclusion, and to reclaim the positive connotation that's associated with the term hackers. Each week on the Tribe of Hackers podcast, we feature one member of the tribe, and this week we're featuring Angela Marafino. Now, this is an interesting one to talk about because often on the Tribe of Hackers podcast, we talk about how new folks can be coming into the industry. And Angela is actually somebody relatively new to the industry. Angela is an alumnus of the Evolve Security Academy and works as a program manager at Microsoft. But with absolutely no background in IT or computer science, Angela took a different route to get here to cybersecurity. Her desire for a more challenging career led her to enroll in a boot camp, which gave her skills and mindset necessary to become a security professional. She's CompTIA Security Plus and Network Plus certified, and also Angela owns 2 bachelor's degrees, one of which is in fine arts and the other's in pre-law. Now, Angela is the organizer of the local WOSEC chapter. She's the CFO of an organization called Women Hackers with a Z, and Angela is also the co-moderator of the Hacker Book Club on Goodreads, which is hosted each week on Zoom. Welcome, Angela.
Hi, Ray. Happy to be here.
It's good to have you here. Do you think that we have a cybersecurity skills shortage in our industry?
Absolutely. And I know I read your portion of the book too. I know we feel similar about this. It's kind of based on the data, right? So it's no secret that there's a shortage. I think everybody's viewpoint on why there's a shortage is a little different. So I think, some of the job postings out there aren't really lending to others becoming employed in the industry. And I think that, is part of the problem.
Now, when you decided that you wanted to become an information security professional, did you know that there was a job shortage? Did that have anything to do with your decision?
100%.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I kind of thought long and hard about the fact that there are so many open positions and that it's involved in every other industry, right? So you could work in healthcare, education, tech, small business, anything. And they need, a security analyst or SOC analyst or whatever. And so, yeah, that 100% made my mind up for me.
So you didn't just stumble your way here at all. You actually logically did some analysis and decided that this would be a good career move, right? Based on the availability and the need, right?
Well, it's kind of both, right? So it was like I stumbled for about a year, actually, trying to figure out where in tech I wanted to work, even though I knew I wanted to get into tech. Starting from, should I be a programmer? What does that look like? What are the other roles available? And didn't even really think about cybersecurity because I didn't think about it being a thing until I read one article. And I was like, holy crap, this is me. It describes, the characteristics that it suggests people have in cybersecurity. I was like, that describes me. This is the most logical decision. And from there on, it was like super calculated. And
did anyone warn you that a significant minority of the participants in our industry is female?
No, and I wouldn't have cared either way. No one warned me about anything because I didn't ask anyone anything. I read the article, made my mind up, and got to work.
Okay, all right. And what was it like once you actually made that decision to come on? So you actually went and took some training, right? Give us a walk along that little bit of a journey.
It was exciting because at that time I had just moved to a new city. I just moved to Denver. I found out, I read that article. I was pumped. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. And there was a boot camp there called Secure Set. So that's in downtown Denver. It was like a few miles from my house, so I could walk there. So I signed up for their in-person 6-week training course that kind of throws all the acronyms at you. What is, networking and how do you use VirtualBox and all of these basics that you need to know. So for 6 weeks, I was just like, drinking from the fire hose and just really happy about it. And from there on, I just kept going. I was just 100% excited to change my life and my career.
Did you spend any time on YouTube watching cybersecurity talks or anything like that at all?
Yeah, after that, I started the Evolve Boot Camp, which is based out of Chicago, and it was 100% remote. So we all had to like go through, the curriculum they provided, but also feed ourselves with additional information. And it was like Professor Messer every day, and other online YouTube videos that my friends suggested.
Now, I'll tell you what's crazy about the talk thing is I saw you give a talk in May of 2020. You actually were one of the speakers at GrimCon, weren't you?
Correct.
How many talks have you given?
That was my first and only.
That was your first talk? Okay, and that was the one about Harry Potter, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, and the big piece about that was sort of like, what are the main takeaways that we can map to the Harry Potter book? I don't want to give any spoilers about the Harry Potter books because we don't know if everybody's read them or not. But what were the main takeaways from that talk?
Yeah, so it was mostly focused on, well, I wanted it to be lighthearted because of everything that's going on in general. Wanted to have some fun there and do something that other people could relate to, even if they weren't super into the tech aspect. So most of the takeaways were soft skill related and things you can do just, as an individual working in tech with others working in tech, things to look out for, right? Like, is your teammate doing something that maybe they shouldn't if they're newer than you, right? Kind of keep an eye on them. Be a good listener. Don't be afraid to ask questions. So basics like that didn't really get too deep into, what your job might consist of, but just overall how to, excel as an individual in cybersecurity.
And for the listeners that are brand new to the industry, how do you define soft skills? What does that term mean?
Your relationship with working with other people and customers or clients, right? So you have different levels of individuals that you're usually going to have to talk to. And I think that's one of the things that drew me to cybersecurity in general was I deal with a different variety of people aside from just sitting behind a computer all day, which I do like my hermit time to myself, but you deal with upper level management, your peers that work alongside with you, and customers. So you have to know how to kind of manage each individual conversation with those different types of people, and it's really important because you can't talk to your upper level CEOs the same as you talk to your coworker about what's going on. They have strict information that they need to know.
It's interesting because you gave that talk very, very relatively early in your cybersecurity career. Was it were you terrified or was it scary at all?
It was scary, but it was a fun topic and it was something that came easy to me. I think it made it a lot better. I also am very grateful for the fact that everything's virtual right now.
Sure.
Because I didn't have to stand up in front of a bunch of people. So that actually worked out better being my first time. So yeah, super happy about that.
It's funny because, Angela, a lot of times people will ask, well, hey, can I have a career in InfoSec without ever giving any talks? And the answer is you absolutely can. I mean, 100%. We have thousands and thousands of people who will never, ever speak at DEF CON. But a lot of people do consider it to be something that you should at least try because becoming a CISO, a CISO, means being able to present to board members and groups of people and stuff. So that's sort of like as a rite of passage kind of what that's considered. And I'm glad that yours went so well. And it was a pretty comfortable audience, right? It was it was GrimCom. So it was totally chill. And everybody was, did you go through like the CFP process and all that kind of stuff too?
I did. And I submitted to some other ones too, but I had a feeling that this one would probably be the most chill. And I know the other ones I submitted to were more serious.
Okay.
I've had some really great managers in the past, Alyssa Miller being one of them. And she kind of pushed me, like, not saying that I have to do a talk, but kind of like, girl, you got this. And if you do it, I'll be there. I don't know if she saw my talk because this was like way later in the middle of everything going on. But, kind of having somebody there to say, hey, you can do it. It's not a big deal. I support you was really helpful.
I am absolutely a huge fan of Alyssa Miller's. I cannot possibly say enough nice things about
me too.
about Alyssa. But yeah, most people that are submitting talks for the very, very first time, if they've watched talks from DEF CON or Black Hat, they're shocked to find out that there's a formal CFP process. Like, oh, I actually have to write this up and think it through and have an outline. Yeah. Because you see people like Jason Street or Malware Jake talk, and you think, oh well, surely they just invited them and just had them talk. Like there wasn't a whole lot of process, but actually there is. Even at smaller conferences, there's that formal process. So that's actually good. It's a really, really good thing for you to have done that so far. Really, just a couple years into your career and stuff. So that's actually really good. What do you find surprising about our industry?
Oh, wow. I think this might just be me. I know not everyone feels this way, especially not every woman or minority working in the industry, but everyone has been so welcoming to me and willing to help. I've never been a part of a group of people who have been so willing to share their knowledge or like give advice or reach out to someone else who might have an answer for you on X, Y, or Z. It's really kind of overwhelming in a good way. And I think it's helped me become more of a leader and be able to do the same thing for others.
That is absolutely fantastic to hear because it hasn't always been that way. We did not have a really good history of being welcome to newcomers. But you're right about the word overwhelming. If you think in terms of the number of Discord servers and Slack channels and Twitter DM groups and everything else, it can be a little bit of information overload. We're recording this during the pandemic stay-at-home time when people are especially very, very active online. But it does seem like there could be a lot of different ways you can interact with people.
Yeah, there's so many different ways. And, it's constantly like, hey, do you know someone who can help me find a job? Or, hey, do you know how to solve this problem? And it's just, it keeps going every day. It's great.
Now, you're a co-moderator on the Hacker Book Club on Tuesday nights with Chloe. Tell us a little bit about Hacker Book Club.
I am. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. I look forward to it every week. So far, we've been a pretty small, tight-knit group, but of course, we'd love for that to grow. The books have ranged from the first Tribe of Hackers book, the original, to car hacking with Alyssa Knight, Cult of the Dead Cow. So it's kind of a variety of where they stand. You're not required. Nobody pushes you to like, did you read to page 103? If not, you can't come to the meeting. Like, it's not like that at all. It's really laid back. We usually have the author on the first night. I mean, it's not guaranteed, but that's been the trend. So that's really great because our attendees get to kind of get a behind the scenes look at, thought processes behind writing the book and some things that may not even be in the book. So it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I was there when Tara Wheeler came. She was the author of Women.
Yeah, that was our first one, and that was amazing.
Yeah, Women in Tech, which is just an absolutely awesome book. Yes. And Tara's an awesome person. It's okay to pull off the old I read the book when it's just your peers, but when the author gets there, you want to at least be able to say that. I
definitely kept up with that one for sure.
So you also have started something called Women Hackers with a Z. What is Women Hackers with a Z, and how in the world did you guys already pull off a conference this early in the game?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I didn't start it. That was Tanya and a group of women with Tanya Janka. But in meeting with I don't know who, one of another members of the cybersecurity community, found out about the Slack channel. It's huge. And then within that, right, it's like kind of divided by all of the women of security international groups. So they kind of have combined. So within Women Hackers, I just kept showing up, and all of a sudden I'm on the board and helping run this conference, which is like nothing else I've ever experienced. It was our 1 year anniversary. So we just decided to kind of go all out since we've been given this opportunity to do everything virtually, and why not, right? Like, what else are we doing? Which isn't really true because we're all doing 50 other things, right? But seems like a good time.
Now, are the recordings from Women Hackers Conference going to be available online as well?
Yes, absolutely. And we're going to post that on social media when they're edited and up and running.
And so that's been one of the biggest surprises about the quarantine stay-at-home timeframe, so to speak, was, right away, almost immediately, these online conferences started popping up, which is fantastic because I guess all of us thought we just had a lot of free time on our hands back then. We thought we would or whatever.
Right.
But also the fact that almost all of them, the recordings are available too. So there's this real depth of knowledge for new folks that want to watch things or just are kind of curious about it. And then in the case of many of these, there might be two great speakers going on at the same time, and it's literally like switching channels back and forth, right? So it's actually very relatively welcoming. Do you think our industry will continue to be welcoming to gender minorities or people that are not men?
Yes. I do think so. And I think, people like myself and Tara and Chloe and Alyssa, who are going out there and, giving these talks and writing these books and kind of trying to change, some of the viewpoints that women have about maybe not entering the field in general or quitting, right? Because it's been tough. Hopefully that can convince people to stick around or enter. That's my hope anyways.
Have you found that your taste in music or movies has changed as you've gotten into information security at all?
No, but it's definitely brought out a weirder side for sure. I mean, when you stay up late and you need to stay awake and you don't want to drink, 8 more cups of coffee, there's definitely some techno drum and bass situations happening, or like, weird goth, dark Jesus stuff coming. I mean, like, I have gotten into some weird music, but I've always been into weird music, so it's really nothing new.
Well, we're going to have to introduce you to hacker core, meaning like YT Cracker and duo core music, the actual musics of DEF CON and stuff like that. So you were planning on going to Hacker Summer Camp this year. This was going to be your first year to go to like Diana Initiative and Black Hat and DEF CON and stuff, right? So that's a little bit of a bummer.
It is a bummer. Yeah, so I'm just living this virtual life like everyone else and looking forward to things. And I mean, some of the things that are virtual now, I wouldn't have gotten to attend, things that are, way across the country or in other parts of the world. So I'm trying to use it to my advantage.
Now, you'd moved just right before this happened, right? You'd moved from Denver to Seattle with Microsoft, right? Or
Well, I moved here and then I got a new job, but it's all been a whirlwind of a situation. And yes, I got a job in the middle of a global pandemic, which is also insane. But that's kind of my style.
And you're just rolling with the punches, just doing the best you can and just making the best of it, because what else really can we do, right? Besides that. And, again, we are recording this in the middle of some of the social unrest that's also happening across the United States in response to police brutality and also the economic changes and the pandemic. So we've kind of got three things going on at once that all kind of have parallels, so to speak, in the InfoSec community and space. What are you studying now? What do you want to focus on, and what do you want to beef up your knowledge around next?
Right now, I'm really focusing on the program management aspect because it's a little bit different than what I had been doing in the past, which was more, along the lines of vulnerability assessments or pen testing. So I'm trying to get more into the depths of some of that soft skill knowledge that I was talking to you about earlier, and kind of taking it to another level on how you work with teams and, figure out how to run a project. I also, anticipate getting my CASSP at some point, but who knows when that'll happen because there's just so much going on.
Sure.
I don't want to miss any of these virtual cons, right? But other than that, it's just been kind of tough because, it's hard to, push some of the tech knowledge and information out that I'm used to, sharing with everyone in light of, not wanting to take the light off of what's going on in our country. So it's a fine line there.
Now, one of the debates that we sometimes have in InfoSec is whether you need a college degree, but you have two of them. Which one is more useful, the pre-law or the fine arts?
I mean, define useful, right? Like, which one put me in less debt, or like, which one looked better rolled up in its tube?
Which one? Those are both good criteria. Those are both really, really good criteria. I mean, which one brought more pragmatic skills that you still use day to day?
The fine arts one's coming in handy now because when I get bored, I go back to like decompressing. I like do a painting or try to do some graphic design for fun and not as a job. And so, that was part of the problem with that. I was like, what am I going to do with my life? This degree is useless. But the pre-law degree, I almost went to law school and became an attorney, and that's a whole nother story. But some of my teachers from that time were really great. And I think it's really, that really brought into my conversational skills and kind of how you think about doing research and the process behind, what you're looking for to find the answers you need, which is huge in tech, right? Google everything or use Bing. And so
carrying the company water, carrying the company flag. I see. Okay.
So, they all have their own things. I think the main reason, right, if somebody says yes, a college degree is helpful, it's because it shows that you can learn anything, right? You can be taught something and follow through. It doesn't matter what it is. I've talked to people who are in psychology, had writing, like lit degrees and all kinds of stuff. It's not about what you took in class. It's about the fact that you can study and learn on your own and, with some guidance as well.
Who are some people you look up to, whether they're in InfoSec or not in InfoSec, just anywhere at all? Who are some people that you admire?
Besides you?
Yes, of course. That's a given, right?
There's so many people, and lately it's kind of been overwhelming. Everything's overwhelming. um, but I looked up to Chloe, and now we're like peers, and we work together. She does so much. I don't even know how she has time to do anything else. But she's always like, and now I have this to do, and this. We talked a little bit about Alyssa before, and she honestly is the best manager I've ever had. Just great, laid back. I love her. And Alyssa Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I don't know if you've read the car hacking manual, but
both of the Alyssas, absolutely.
It's unreal, and so I feel like I've learned so much from just those three women. I don't even know, who else to mention. I have a really great mentor. His name's Howard Harvey.
Okay.
And he kind of helped me through my education process, but he's taught me a lot of things and really showed me not to kind of give up or let things bother me so much. And one of the reasons why I kind of kept pushing, and I think I've gotten so far in such a short amount of time, is because he just kept giving me solid advice about if you want to get to X goal, this is what you should do, and don't let anybody get in your way, right? And as a woman starting out, not having the background, I just had to not let anything get in my way, whether it was lack of experience or location. It just kept going.
Well, how about outside of InfoSec completely? Like, what about in Hollywood or sports or authors or historic figures or anything else like that? Who are some folks that you admire from history?
Wow, Obama, where's he at? I miss him so much. I don't know. I've been so caught up in reading only cybersecurity related information lately that it's been tough to kind of take a step back.
Well, you don't have to just read about cybersecurity. You can also listen to podcasts, for example. You can subscribe to podcasts. Even if you're out there and you're listening to this podcast, you could actually hit the subscribe button, and maybe we'll get actual subscribers.
No, if you want to talk about podcasts, one of the podcasts that I found extremely helpful now is this podcast called Sleepy, and this guy just reads old classic novels, and in this deep monotone voice until you go to sleep. It's been amazing. Please check it out.
Oh, really? Yeah, so I actually, I believe it or not, I'm one of those people that always struggled with insomnia, and I tried everything from meditation to whatever you name it, and I did discover that podcasts would put me to sleep. The problem is, if you don't set them to automatically turn off, then you will go to sleep and you'll sleep a whole night's sleep, and you'll have dreamt along with some just absolutely horrible podcasts that you really have no business. Like Serial, for example, was one about a killer or whatever.
Yeah, no.
I really didn't want to put that juice, but so I'll have to check out Sleepy. That's actually really interesting.
It's like Peter Pan and things like that. So I don't think you have any terrible dreams or anything. I also heard that recently, IKEA, or maybe it's not recently, but IKEA was going to put one out that had some Swedish people reading the names of the products.
Okay.
So you can only imagine what that might be like.
Well,
then you can dream about the
I had actually heard, that there are some sleep studies around what's happened during the pandemic with regards to dreaming. Most people reported having much more vivid dreams and weirder dreams, so to speak. And that's just because whenever you have a major lifestyle change, whether going into the military or coming out or whatever else, your brain starts to change the way it forms memories and stuff. So again, these are just kind of interesting things I think I see on Twitter. Let's talk about social media. How active are you on social media?
I'm pretty active now. It's crazy to see that I wasn't 2 years ago, because I was kind of just that's a lot, and I don't need to know what people are doing every second of every day, and it's just not my style. And I deleted my Twitter. I don't have a Facebook, and it's just kind of okay, no thanks. And then I got into security, and I was like, what if I only add security people? This will be awesome. And so kept adding a bunch of people, and then kind of got into, I could share information. Cool. I could write a blog post. Cool. And just kept doing it. And, my LinkedIn is I don't know, 10 times bigger than it was a year ago. And it's just it's insane. And, I keep in touch with a lot of people that I wouldn't even know otherwise. And yeah, I'm trying to stay on top of it. Lately, it's not been as much as I'd like, but I get back up there.
Yeah, in 2016, I wasn't on Twitter at all. I was really just, I think I got all the way down to where I was only following Swift on security. That was the only person that I was following. And then just like any other habit forming activity, it just suddenly started snowballing, back out to the effect. But one of the things that's really interesting about InfoSec Twitter is if you subscribe to thousands of dollars worth of threat intelligence information and you read things like FBI InfraGard and you have actual paid services, Twitter always beats it. Like when it came to WannaCry or to NotPetya, Twitter's always way, way, way ahead of any news stories and certainly any reporters. As a matter of fact, most of the good reporters are watching Twitter to see what happens, right?
Right.
So it is sort of a necessity of the job. And then of course, now that we're all working virtual, it can be one of those things you kind of throw on a second screen in theory and do your primary work. How are you managing your work hours these days, by the way? Are you working exactly from 9 to 5 and then clocking out at 5?
Does anyone say yes to that? Have you had anyone answer?
I haven't asked the question before. I've never asked the question.
I was remote for 2 years before all of this, so it kind of was life as normal, but now it's kind of different because you can't go out after you're done. Like on the weekends, you don't really go do much and you're still at home. I've always been a night owl, so tend to like work for a day, but take some of the time off, like maybe a 2-hour break and then work late, which my father's always been a late worker as well, like first person there, last to leave. But it's hard, it's always around, right? Like now I have like 3 computers and they all are for something else. And I go in one room and I'm, working on streaming, and I go in another room and I'm working on graphics on my other computer. And then I have my work laptop and it's like in bed with me. And I'm really bad about turning it off, and no one should copy me with my habits, but I feel like I get a lot done, so that's awesome.
And then just to compound that, the weekends kind of get blurry too, right? Because you're doing conferences on the weekends, or at least in the case of women hackers, you're even hosting conferences, which is an enormous amount of very rewarding work, right?
100%. You know what? I mean, if you're in this industry and you don't like being on the computer, what's going on?
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
So, I mean, it's like I get to work with my fun computer, and then I have my serious computer, right? So at least that's kind of a break, and you're switching it up. I have different backgrounds, they're different OSs, like it's great.
That's good. Well, it is good. That's called siloization, I think. Oh, no, compartmentalization. You got to compartmentalize.
That's right.
That iPad is only for shenanigans and things like that. If you could talk to yourself from 10 years ago and give yourself some advice on how to get yourself, first of all, congratulations on being included in the Tribe of Hackers Security Leaders book, which is a fantastic honor. But what advice would you give yourself 10 years ago as you embarked on this journey?
I wouldn't have wasted time. I would have started this sooner. That's the only thing that I wish that I had was more years. Not that I think it's necessary for where I am now, but I wasted a lot of time not knowing what I wanted to do. And part of that is because I had really supportive parents that were like, do what makes you happy and that you're good at. And I was like, oh, I like art and stuff. And then, but I was like, but are you sure? So I would have done something that obviously is going to stand the test of time a little bit longer as far as job security. So it would have been cooler to be around when more things started out, having attended different cons right back in the day. But congrats future self on being in security leaders. Ray, I don't necessarily feel like and it's not an imposter thing, it's like time wise, like I just mentioned, but I kind of stand out in this book. But as Tara Wheeler mentioned, no one's going to give you a title as a woman, like a CEO title or anything like that, unless you give it to yourself most of the time. And so for the leaders, no, other people might not think I'm a leader at this moment, but I say I am. Marcus thought I would be. Jennifer thought I would be. So here we are.
Yeah, I would actually go ahead and address that directly. Almost everybody that we've interviewed has said that they didn't belong in the book, but that they felt like they had to answer the questions because it was under deadline. so maybe it is a little bit of the imposter side of that thing. I haven't met anybody yet that's like, I absolutely heard that one. That was 100%
Curious